me singing. Whoa.
My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own.
You kids of today may be too young to remember a young singer-songwriter named Jewel, but back in the day, she cornered the market of talented vocalists singing romantic ballads, and hers were truly the stuff comas were made of. Now I remember hearing the story about her having to live out of her car for the longest time, and how inspiring her success story was, but I don't remember anyone ever saying they were fans. I mean, she was enjoyable enough, but those songs... She was like a slightly more energetic Alaskan version of Enya. And if you don't remember Enya, you've obviously never seen a Pure Moods commercial.
The perfect soundtrack for your way of life.
So yeah, back to Jewel. I'm sure you've heard at least one of her songs, be it Who Will Save Your Soul, or maybe My Hands. I'm sure I'm forgetting a really big one, but most of her shit sounded the same to me anyway. At least that was the case until Jewel's fourth album, 0304, which transitioned from her usual folk and pop rock to electropop. Jewel explained the shift by saying she was trying a modern interpretation of big band music. After hearing the album's biggest hit, Intuition, I'm led to believe that Jewel either has no idea what big band music sounds like, or she has no shame when it comes to boldly lying to her fan base. I have no problem with an artist wanting to change their style. Plenty of people do it all the time. But it's the dishonesty. The video parodies product placement in commercials, which would be fine, though not an original concept, but as fate would have it, the song was featured in a commercial for a lady's razor, sharing the song's name very soon after. The video is stupid enough, but I haven't even started on the song itself yet. I hate when celebrities try to make witty commentary on pop culture. It always feels so phony. The song reminds me a lot of Nickelback's Rockstar. You can't be a famous public figure and crack jokes about being famous. It never feels genuine, and it always makes for a really corny song. Intuition is poorly written, chock full of pop culture references, and, while claiming to be a joke, very alienating to her fan base. Fast forward to 2009, however, and she, alongside husband Ty Murray, had the honorable distinction of hosting Monday Night Raw. So everything turned out alright.
She heard me singing. Whoa.
We got the afternoon. You got this room for two.
John Mayer wrote the hit single Your Body Is a Wonderland when he was 14, and it shows. I'm not saying young people are incapable of writing good lyrics, but I'd like to think lines like this.
One pair of candy lips and your bubblegum tongue
Weren't written by a full-grown adult. Really, besides this line and a few other awkward attempts at being sensual, the song isn't all that bad, but it's definitely the worst I've ever heard from Mayer. It's corny and childish, and that would be fine if the point was tongue-in-cheek and a playful take on childhood innocence, but it isn't. It's trying to be sexy. It isn't sexy.
Your body is a wonderland.
She heard me singing. Whoa.
Chingy, a true relic of the time, celebrated his short-lived success of his debut single, Right There, with his follow-up, Holiday Inn. Right from the start, I gotta ask, was the Holiday Inn ever a super fancy place to stay? Or is Chingy trying to say that, even though he's become a star, he isn't above taking girls back to the same place kids are having their after-prom parties? It's not like he's kicking it at a Super 8, he could have aimed a little higher. And while we're on the subject, is there a reason that the name is spelt different? Was it for legal reasons? That's the only explanation I could think of. Anyway, the song itself is a very typical sounding rap song from the time, with not much to set it apart from the rest of the pack. It seems like the only reason people even remember the song is because of Chingy's annoying inflection during the chorus. Besides our old pal Chingy, hip-hop's answer to Steve Urkel, also chilling at the Holiday Inn is Ludacris, providing a guest verse, which is possibly one of his stupidest, and Snoop Dogg, who's also serving as the bellhop. Paging Mr. Chingy. Mr. Chingy, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
She heard me singing. Whoa.
I said, give me two.
one St. Louis rapper to another, Nelly gathers a small group of friends with even less talent than himself to rap about their love of sneakers. I don't mind people having hobbies, collecting things they love. I've been collecting CDs, and hell, I have a few pairs of Converse myself, but it's the way these guys go about their obsession that earned the song a spot on my list. They repeat the words big boy as if buying a shit ton of shoes has anything to do with them being mature adults, let alone being responsible with money. It's also all about double standard. You got a song with a bunch of rappers bragging about how much they blow on shoes, and they're cool. You get some dudes in the studio singing the same song about, say, comic books or action figures. They're giant nerds. This song is self-parody and pathetic. For as long of a song as it is, it's all about fucking shoes. How many shoes they have, and what colors they have them in. Is this really what young kids aspire to be? Shoe collectors? Nelly would continue the trend of bragging about gaudy accessories with his future single, Grills. But at least here, he isn't telling people to go out and steal shoes, so I guess there's that.
She heard me singing.
Whoa. Puddle of Mud could be 2003's most embarrassing success story. Only a slightly grungier version of Nickelback, Mud's second album, Come Clean, spurred a handful of inescapable hits between 2001 and 2003, with She Hates Me being the latest and easily worst.
Met a girl, thought she was grand. Fell in love, found out firsthand.
Any song in 2003 that describes a woman as grand without a shred of irony sets itself up for immediate failure. What we have, as it stands, is the most vague, nondescript retelling of a breakup ever put to a lame rock riff. Just look at all these folks headbanging, losing their minds over this mediocre alt-rock dreck.
Went well for a week or two, then it all came unglued.
Even more enraging than him constantly looking as if he has something stuck under his upper lip is his obviously affected voice. If his drawn-out delivery of Glued isn't enough, check out this live version of the same song.
Went well for a week or two, then it all came unclear.
So what do we know so far? This douche had a girlfriend until she started to hate him for some reason, and all of a sudden, things came unglued.
She was queen for about an hour. After that, she got sour.
An hour? I thought you just said things were going well for a couple weeks. Did she fucking hate you the whole time and you only just now realized it? How did she take everything of yours in such a short amount of time? How exactly does someone tear someone's feelings? What lesson did you learn? If this story was being told by a good friend, I'd want all the deets. So me retroactively asking Wes is simply rhetorical. The only thing I'm actually curious about is what the hell gave him the idea that this sounded cool. Jewel was supposedly just playing around with intuition, but I couldn't help take it seriously with how far she was taking the joke. Here, they're trying to sound like badasses, and I can't stop laughing. I'd say they were doing it wrong, but there's very little Puddle of Mud ever did right.
She heard me singing.
Whoa. For those of you who only know Lil Jon from the dated sketches you've seen on old Chappelle Show reruns, or a sample of him in Turned Down for What, I assure you, this obnoxious asshole was huge for a few months. It was all about gold teeth and getting crunk. What's crunk mean? From what I remember, it meant being a belligerent shithead. It was also a music genre, but that was clearly the secondary definition after groups like Yin Yang Twins were finished with it. Get Low was a club banger where John and the Yin Yang Twins yelled at women to shake their asses until they blasted them with their skeet.
Daddy, where'd you meet Mommy? Oh, she was singing about balls at a club.
Rap as a genre was getting pretty embarrassing by this point, but I don't want you to think it was all crunk juice, partying in hotels, and stockpiling expensive sneakers. Rap had a soft side too.
She heard me singing.
Whoa.
Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me, girl?
21 Questions is 50 Cent's laughable attempt at being sweet and heartfelt. As you'd imagine, the song is comprised of questions being asked by 50 as he's looking for a soldier. This is a girl who stands by her side no matter what, and in this song's context, this includes committing crimes and losing everything. Like most of the songs in this countdown, it doesn't sound bad in concept, but it's ruined by who's singing the song and how it's executed. The questions range from how the girl would react to him having to work at Burger King, to how willing she'd be to ride along for drive-by shootings. 50's looking for a girl that's low maintenance, but ends up sounding very high maintenance with how much he's asking of her. Like, it's one thing to ask if she'd still love him if he wasn't a famous rapper anymore, but it's a whole nother story to ask if she'd be an accomplice to murder. He also tends to flip back and forth between lighthearted and serious scenarios at the drop of a hat.
If I fell off tomorrow, would you still love me? If I didn't smell so good, would you still hug me? If I got locked up and sentenced to a quarter century, could I count on you to be there to support me mentally?
Needless to say, the fact that it's being sung by a guy who's been pumping himself up as a gangsta of some kind makes it that much sillier. Dr. Dre originally didn't want the song included on the album, and I gotta say, I would have totally agreed with him. This song was a poor excuse for 50 to show a different side of himself and possibly grow a female audience, but it falls far short. He was never even really a convincing thug, so I have no idea why he thought he'd also be able to melt some hearts along the way.
She got me singing.
Whoa. If I'm not made for you, then why does my heart tell me that I am?
Would you just listen to this fucking guy? This pouty chode is Daniel Bedingfield. You know, like Natasha Bedingfield? One and the same. Nah, I wish. That'd be interesting at least.
You're not the one, then why does my soul feel glad today?
It's cringingly awful and embarrassing in every way possible. The falsetto, the stupid ass poses, and these lyrics even a 14-year-old John Mayer would pass up. They run the gamut from cheesy and cliche to unfittingly creepy.
And I wish that you could be the one I die with. If you're not the one, then what does my hand fit yours this way?
I don't know, coincidence? Dick?
She got me singing.
Whoa.
Is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your primitive is when yet.
I never understood the appeal of Missy Elliott. She wasn't a good rapper, and she usually filled her hit singles with nonsense and stupid noises. That's why I couldn't help but nominate both Gossip Folks and Work It as two of the worst songs of 2003. While Gossip Folks features decent verses from Ludacris and Miss Jade, she has to do all the heavy lifting in Work It. I think it's also worth noting that both songs feature samples also heard in classic Beastie Boys songs. Cutting to the chase, the beats by Timbaland are easily the best parts of these songs. It's a shame such good beats were wasted on such shit lyrics. Even if these songs were meant for the clubs, intended to be danced to, and not listened to all that closely, I'm sure at least some of these awful lyrics would cut through.
Sex me so good I say blah blah blah.
Christ, Missy, you're a grown woman for fuck's sake.
Let me search it, gonna work it, every minute and every.
She got me singing.
Whoa.
Have you forgotten how it felt that day?
I don't like to get political on this show, but I can't stand shit like this. A guilt trip in the form of country music, Have You Forgotten by Daryl Worley, takes place 2 years after the attacks on September 11th. I find it hard to write about songs like this, as I know I'll be pissing off some people along the way, and as I said, politics really isn't my field of expertise, but I just hate the attitude presented in this song.
I hear people say we don't need this war, but I say there's some things worth fighting for.
Then why aren't you fighting on the front lines, shithead? Is this your form of combat? Sitting in a cushy studio and talking down to people who are just trying to move on with their lives? No, Daryl, I haven't forgotten, but I'd have to say I'm almost as worried about walking, talking recruiting centers like you, preying on the weak and emotional, as I do the terrorists you're making money singing about. Before I go any further and potentially begin offending people, I'ma end this review here. Thanks for joining me on this trip back in time. It was a lot of fun. You know, besides all the shitty songs and everything.
And you say we shouldn't worry about Bin Laden.
Jewel, the song isn't all that bad, but it's definitely the worst I've ever heard from Mayer. It's corny and childish, and that would be fine if the point was tongue-in-cheek and a playful take on childhood innocence, but it isn't. It's trying to be sexy. It isn't sexy.
Your body is a wonderland.
She got me singing.
Whoa.
Chingy, a true relic of the time, celebrated his short-lived success of his debut single, Right There, with his follow-up, Holiday Inn. Right from the start, I gotta ask, was the Holiday Inn ever a super fancy place to stay? Or is Chingy trying to say that, even though he's become a star, he isn't above taking girls back to the same place kids are having their after-prom parties? It's not like he's kicking it at a Super 8, he could have aimed a little higher. And while we're on the subject, is there a reason that the name is spelt different? Was it for legal reasons? That's the only explanation I could think of. Anyway, the song itself is a very typical sounding rap song from the time, culture. It always feels so phony. The song reminds me a lot of Nickelback's Rockstar. You can't be a famous public figure and crack jokes about being famous. It never feels genuine, and it always makes for a really corny song. Intuition is poorly written, chock full of pop culture references, and, while claiming to be a joke, very alienating to her fan base. Fast forward to 2009, however, and she, alongside husband Ty Murray, had the honorable distinction of hosting Monday Night Raw. So everything turned out alright.
She got me singing.
Whoa. We got the afternoon. You got this room for two.
John Mayer wrote the hit single Your Body is a Wonderland when he was 14, and it shows. I'm not saying young people are incapable of writing good lyrics, but I'd like to think lines like this
One pair of candy lips and your bubblegum tongue.
weren't written by a full-grown adult. Really, besides this line and a few other awkward attempts at being sensual, until Jewel's fourth album, 0304, which transitioned from her usual folk and pop rock to electropop. Jewel explained the shift by saying she was trying a modern interpretation of big band music. After hearing the album's biggest hit, Intuition, I'm led to believe that Jewel either has no idea what big band music sounds like, or she has no shame when it comes to boldly lying to her fan base. I have no problem with an artist wanting to change their style. Plenty of people do it all the time. But it's the dishonesty. The video parodies product placement in commercials, which would be fine, though not an original concept. But as fate would have it, the song was featured in a commercial for a lady's razor, sharing the song's name very soon after. The video is stupid enough, but I haven't even started on the song itself yet. I hate when celebrities try to make witty commentary on pop culture.
She got me singing.
Whoa.
My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own. But they're
You kids of today may be too young to remember a young singer-songwriter named Jewel, but back in the day, she cornered the market of talented vocalists singing romantic ballads, and hers were truly the stuff comas were made of. Now I remember hearing the story about her having to live out of her car for the longest time, and how inspiring her success story was, but I don't remember anyone ever saying they were fans. I mean, she was enjoyable enough, but those songs... She was like a slightly more energetic Alaskan version of Enya. And if you don't remember Enya, you've obviously never seen a Pure Moods commercial.
The perfect soundtrack for your way of life.
So yeah, back to Jewel. I'm sure you've heard at least one of her songs, be it Who Will Save Your Soul, or maybe My Hands. I'm sure I'm forgetting a really big one, but most of her shit sounded the same to me anyway. At least that was the case, and with not much to set it apart from the rest of the pack. It seems like the only reason people even remember the song is because of Chingy's annoying inflection during the chorus. Besides our old pal Chingy, hip-hop's answer to Steve Urkel, also chilling at the Holiday Inn is Ludacris, providing a guest verse, which is possibly one of his stupidest, and Snoop Dogg, who's also serving as the bellhop. Paging Mr. Chingy. Mr. Chingy, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
She got me singing.
Whoa.
I said, need to burn. I need to burn. So you can get to stomping in my Air Force One.
From one St. Louis rapper to another, Nelly gathers a small group of friends with even less talent than himself to rap about their love of sneakers. I don't mind people having hobbies, collecting things they love. I've been collecting CDs, and hell, I have a few pairs of Converse myself, but it's the way these guys go about their obsession that earned the song a spot on my list. They repeat the words big boy as if buying a shit ton of shoes has anything to do with them being mature adults, let alone